Now that we've laid our foundation and properly prepared our speech, it's time to practice. And as they say, practice makes perfect. You could have the best outline I've ever seen, but if the delivery isn't there, it's not going to happen. Your speech isn't going to be an A speech. Because if you don't have the delivery, if your delivery isn't practiced, your audience isn't going to want to listen to that speech. And so all of that hard work that you've put in building the foundation and preparing the speech is going to go to waste. So we have to make sure that we practice both our verbal as well as our nonverbal delivery. So let's talk first about verbal delivery. Verbal delivery are the actual words that you say in the speech. And as we said earlier, when we were talking about the different styles of delivery, you don't want to read your speech word for word because that can really be a delivery killer. Instead, you want to practice extemporaneousness. You want to be familiar enough with the content of your speech that you can basically just have a conversation with the audience about your speech. And it sounds like you've really prepared it and practiced it ahead of time because you have. But you aren't reciting it from memory. You aren't reading it off of a page. You've simply practiced it enough to the point where you know what it is that you're talking about. So verbal delivery, the actual words that you're saying in the speech, really do matter. But possibly even more so is your nonverbal delivery. This is a really big part of your delivery, and there are a lot of different aspects to nonverbal delivery that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But for now, I want to cover the basic three of eye contact, gestures, and movement. One of the most important things that we can do as public speakers is make eye contact with our audience. If you're not looking at your audience, they tend to not trust you as much, and they can become easily distracted and stop listening to you. Whereas if you are engaging in eye contact, you can kind of talk to that person who you're looking at and talk to them specifically and then move on to the next person. And this helps build a connection with the audience and really get them interested in your speech. Gestures are the movements that you have with your arms and your hands to create emphasis with your speech. And these gestures should be meaningful and at least somewhat planned because you want to make sure that you don't have too many gestures and that you're kind of flailing wildly and it becomes distracting to your audience. But you also want to make sure that you don't have too few gestures and you end up just kind of standing there like a stiff board looking like you're super nervous. We want somewhere right in the middle where you have enough gestures where it creates emphasis for your speech, but to where it is not distracting for your audience. And the same thing goes for movement. This is obviously how we move while we're speaking, and we want to make sure that we don't have too much movement or too little movement. So we want to make sure that we are not pacing back and forth in front of the audience, moving too much, making them feel like they're watching a volleyball game, but we also don't want to stand stuck behind a podium the whole time. Some speakers find it useful to move at planned parts during their speech, and we're going to be talking about something called the speaker's triangle when we talk about delivery in that specific chapter. So for now, we just need to practice the verbal delivery, the actual words of the speech, working on being extemporaneousness, and pay attention to things like eye contact, gestures, and movement. And if you do all of this, your speech is going to be probably the most effective that it can be because you've put a lot of thought into it. So all of these things, building the foundation, preparing the speech, and practicing the speech's delivery are all crucial elements to becoming an effective public speaker.